Alright, welcome to another video that is meant to explore the experience of Xpeng's XNGP. We are on XOS or the XNGP or the Xpeng operating system version 5.3.0 I'm just leaving the airport now. The idea of continuing the experience sharing of Xpeng's NGP is sort of the mission of this channel, at least for now. Here we go. That wasn't expensive as I thought. I was scared the other time. Spent a week outside, left the car at the airport, and came back to have a hefty fine or hefty parking charge for the period. 7 days. One would expect so, because it's in where it's an airport, so you expect them to want to get the maximum out of them. Well, we've not activated XNGP yet. We are still trying to get out of the main facility, and it's a bit tricky around this time of day. There's a lot of flights to arrive around this time, especially when it's domestic. It is around 4 o'clock, 3:59. Today is Sunday, and yeah, so I can activate XNGP right now here. Let's try that. There we go. So from here, if the car does any silly stuff, I'll disengage. If it's riding at an inconvenient speed, I'll disengage. If it's behaving erratic, I'll disengage. These are all parameters that one should consider when using self-driving technology. And as I spoke about in my previous video, the experienced driver has a lot to do with how they how they use the system, so to speak. So one, the experience of the driver, and then the second one is the occupancy within the car. If the occupancy within the car, for instance, if I were to pretty much carry my family, it will not 100% or even 80% or even 70% rely on the technology. Okay, so there are things that I would essentially, allow to happen if I'm driving, and there are some other things that I will not allow to happen. There is the other side of also another parameter you would concern yourself with, and that's if you are in a hurry, or perhaps if you are on with a certain time limit on your hands. There is a level of tolerance you can have, and a level of tolerance you might not, What I mean by that is that the car, for instance, on certain routes will not maximize the speed, right? And if it doesn't maximize the speed on that particular route with regards to limit, that's time that you're losing. So if you're in a hurry for an appointment, or if you're scheduled to arrive at a particular destination, given the time factor of maximizing the time ride, you're not going to wait around for the car to take its time to cover certain, certain certain route speed limits, so you will disengage. On this trip now, it's a Sunday. I just returned from visiting family, so technically I'm not in a hurry to get back home. The scheduled time of arrival is supposed to be 5:15. That is more than okay. I can work within that time frame. But again, this is one of those things. Okay, it slowed down erratically, 19-20 km. You know, when everyone else perhaps is doing about 30. And it was trying to make a decision as to which route it was that we wanted to take. Okay, already the plan for the map indicated that it was supposed to stick to this route, but I don't exactly understand why it had to do that sort of thing. So in the scenario where I am actually on a beat with regards to time, I will disengage. This also indicated disengagement will be a typical part of the experience one would effectively want to assume route, given the circumstances that you're in, right? And the circumstances as indicated. If you're a professional driver, if you're a good driver, if you're an experienced driver, if you're a rookie driver, all these parameters play to how you experience the system. The other conditions that are external to that would be, for instance, the traffic scenario, the level of order that you have on the road. Perhaps even considering things like, you know, pedestrian use of the road. All these parameters play a very important part to the experience that you have for the system and the experience you will also get from using the system. And that's where, you know, you can set aside cars that are really, you know, at the top of the, manufacturers that are at the top of their game with the engineering and deployment of this solution, the autonomous driving, self-driving solution, compared to all those other ones that are trying to, and then the other ones that are effectively, you know, hoping to wait for the technology to mature before they actually shift the experience of folks, or even market the experience that is indicated of a level 4 or 5. In most cases, these cars are actually not even living up to the expectations of level 2 or 5 consistently. You know, they are a bit of a hybrid mix between 2 and 3. Level 4 experience is really hard to find any manufacturer that really can give you that level 4 experience without, you know, limiting it to a specific domain. What I mean by domain here is that the technology development has to be sort of structured in a way that allows the industry to catch up with. And when I mean industry, it is not just the manufacturing sector, those producing these cars, but also you need road regulations, you need policies, you need the legal infrastructure, you need insurance, you need a whole pieces to actually be advanced to that level to actually be able to say that the technology is now available, mass market. Okay, and that's not the case now. It's trying to make a decision on a route to use that I don't want, but well, it is a Sunday, so I'm okay with it. Why I like the fact that we've chosen to go this route is also because this route is a bit more tricky. This is driving through the cities and towns that link the airport to my intended destination. Right, so we are not using a highway where we could effectively get a clear route, a little challenge. This is a typical driving scenario for anyone employing the technology as part of their fleet, right? You will want to drive through towns, you will want to drive through you know, little towns and use different kinds of roads. So the experience you would basically be touting on the highway will not compare. Now let's see what it does here. It's quite tricky because, you know, you've got those cars that are actually on the right route. It is caught up in a route that it didn't actually, I think it didn't maximize the turning pretty well. And I'm having to urge it with a bit of a step on the accelerator to move it forward. Otherwise, it will be stuck there. If I were not actually applying the, you know, my legs on the accelerator to move it forward, like move, okay, move like that. Yeah, so that's one thing you can do when you engage the system. In cases where it is not perceiving in time and acting in time, you know, you can effectively use the accelerator to, like now I'm moving it forward, like move. So yeah, some people will be asking the question, so why didn't it move on its own then? You know, what is it waiting for? Yeah, again, it comes back to the capability of the technology and also the implementation architecture. If the implementation architecture does not address the tactile need to get feedback from the camera system in time to act, that's what happens. So it's seconds, right? It's seconds behind you know, between perception and action, and as a result, start defaulting to being slow. Someone would ask again, but why is it, you know, seconds behind? And I say, yeah, you've got a good question there, because this car is equipped with 508 tops, right? And when we talk tops, we're basically talking about the processing power that is used within the, you know, self-driving community, within in any, you know, AI, quote unquote, sort of, you know, either using tops or you're using other, you know, sort of units to measure it. But tops has become like one of the well-known, and also the same one that basically that is used by NVIDIA, right? So it's not really that corner there. The way to the corner wasn't really good. It wasn't good at all. So I had to be urging it to move forward because there are cars behind me. Yet I was scared of that, you know, that little, you know, lorry that was beside me there. So I ended up having to, you know, try to be careful at the same time, you know, be urging it to move on, because again, I can afford this particular point in time, you know, not to urging it on now. If not, it would have basically had me, you know, behind the red light, or it would have crossed the red light, to avoid me having to cross the red light to pretty much urge it on. And even here, try to do the same thing, the balance between urging on and it's a guy putting up in, because it becomes irritating. So these are some of the circumstances that I keep, you know, I like to stress consistently. A lot of people think about, oh, the car, you know, the company's touting that it's got level 3, level 4, it's got self-driving capability, it's all great and shiny. I don't believe that. It's not true. The ability to perceive and drive in real action on the real road is based on time sensitivity, it's based on defensive driving, it's based on the conditions or policies that are existing on the road network you're on. It's based on quite a lot of factors. So just counting the capability factor in the environment, the circumstance. You've just, created a marketing hype, which has led a lot of people to, to pretty much activate the technology, or be fooled into going to buy from a particular vendor, which is what's happening now. And then they find out that, oh shit, the promise was way ahead of the actual capability. Because then, for a normal user, the capability is not void of all the circumstances they are going to effectively be exposed to. Okay? What do I mean by that? The capability is not void to, to using the car on the real road. Meeting traffic police, having to divert automatically, in time, defensive driving, employing the ability to plan ahead pretty well, all these factors come into play. So it is not as just simple and easy as saying that the technology is there, it's done all that. No, the environment needs to also adapt or has to change. And how is that going to be something that can happen almost within this time frame? Maybe it will take a bit of time, because now I cannot sue the company for the technology misbehaving, right? So it's really all the risk is on me for using the technology. Now, typically, if we had a car and you had a brake failure, you could sue the company of a brake failure, and that could essentially be addressed in a court of law as negligence on the side of either the driver, or perhaps it is a manufacturing flaw that you might have encountered, which indeed can trigger recall by the manufacturer, for its fix. Okay, it's not the same situation yet. The regulations, the legal infrastructure of many countries have not yet adapted, because you're sharing the road with normal humans, and so the need to think about the whole shift with having to occupy the road with a different type of driver that is not human is something the regulations need to catch up with. So as a result of that, you're not just buying the capability, you need to consider a lot of factors. And that's why I think the smarter people out there are not even interested in having to pay for a level 3 or a level 5 or even a level 4 self-driving car, no matter who the company is. Level 2 is more than good, so far as the car can stick on the lane, accelerate, decelerate, and if I decide to signal that I want to change a lane, in other words, I have observed the road and I've seen that clearly you can change lanes now without a problem. In such a scenario, the management of risk is very, very well within the current structure of our legal system. So as a result, it is pretty much an ease. It's a breeze to effectively own the level 2 car and live a life that is not necessarily very different from the life we were living before. Essentially, the risk domain or the risk play that you had assumed before hasn't changed. Now you only have an augmentation, and that augmentation is again something that is limited for a specific scenario. And the scenario in this case would be staying within a well-demarcated road. There are lane markings, okay, and staying within the lane, effectively centering the car within the lane and driving that lane. Okay, So that is you know my thinking that the folks, and it is a technology that it's now becoming almost pervasive, right? It's become pervasive because what's happening now is that you can buy, you can set out to be a car manufacturer, and you don't need to build a full stack for level 2. Okay, you simply go out there, you buy the stack, and the stack will be sold to you like from Nvidia or any of the other companies out there who can then help you do the integration with the car or your car stack, and then you can get off the ground and run. So those are some good stuff that you can get today, and that's why I keep saying that for those that are actually going out to buy cars on level 2, they are actually the winners, I think. Because in actual sense, level 3 is a bit of a headache to own, right? I keep telling folks that using this car with the kind of software it's got currently, my attention is much more heightened compared to when I'm driving completely. Because now the car has been given the freedom to act, and that freedom to act is not one that is having the best guardrails today. So as a result, it can do any erratic stuff, and you will be caught hands down. Right? It could do of course a level 2 could do the same too, right? It could just slam the brakes in the middle of the highway just because of bad occlusion, because it could not see that it was a shadow rather than a car, right? It's slamming the brake in the middle of the road. That's uncomfortable. But the limit of exposure compared to level 3 is much more lower. So you know that what can happen within the road is limited to certain levels of circumstances. But once you begin to have other tracks and the ability to overtake and then of course to make a U-turn and all that, your exposure also just radically grows exponentially. So the need to be attentive when driving now with this capability is much higher for me than if I wasn't using the car that's got this capability. So one would ask yourself, why give yourself too much stress? Why stress yourself then? Why is it that you're going to pay to stress yourself up? This is essentially what we're doing. Maybe just because of the fact that some of us like to push the bounds of technology, like to be within the bounds of bleeding edge technology, and we sort of thrive on it. Other than that, there is no case for this. I won't give this car to my girlfriend. I won't give this car to my wife. I won't give this car to my son with this capability active. I will make sure that it's not active, because I cannot trust them to have the level of attention I've got by them. If it's level 2, no problem, because it's stuck within the lane, obeying the limits of just one lane policy. Totally fine. Right? Totally fine. pick out, you know, instructional activities on the road. Some of them, not all of them. So you need to always be, you know, attentive. Cost of using this route is 25 minutes over and above using the highway, and 15 RMB cheaper, you know, without having to pay for the toll. So it's 50-50. You lose one, you gain one. But for this time of the day, for the current period I'm in, that I'm actually not in a hurry to get to have so, you know, schedule. There's nothing that is really waiting for me to race back home. I think it's a win. So why not, you know, take it easy. You guys get to experience the drive that will not necessarily be high speed, you know, on a highway. I think that anyone can do, but you know, explore the experience of the car as it actually drives through different towns. You know, has to maneuver and address unknown situations with pedestrians, with other releases. I think that's good. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I only hope that, you know, of course, in the future I can have a better setup, you know, that can give you guys a better crisp sort of recording of the experience, and overlay additional data that could help you to get a better, you know, first person view of the drive. Okay, so that was the red collision warning. That motorcycle was coming up at me pretty fast. It was able to pick that and of course give you that alert. So if you're a driver that is very, you know, very conscious of your surrounding, that is good data that you could use for, you know, evasive maneuver. I'm not too sure though whether that is one of those warnings you can trust. Even though we got a warning, the guy was almost pretty much behind me. One would actually envisage that, you know, you would place such a warning perhaps 150 meters away, and then trigger that warning. In fact, not just trigger the warning, but also initiate evasive maneuvering in China. But yeah, that's also kind of tricky to handle, because you need to know exactly where that car is going to be, and then be able to get yourself out of that, that truck that it is on. But the motorcycle was pretty much like wavering through traffic. So yeah, I wouldn't trust it to make a predictive in this kind of scenario. I'm sure that the technology will get better, and it will get better to the point that the ability to predict would almost be pretty much tactile to a real-time sort of experience. And with that, at that point in time, you can trust the car to make some of those decisions for you. Now it's doing all these overtaking. In fact, it's senseless, all those overtaking, because again, the planning is not exactly very good. I keep telling folks that the planning of the car is not exactly very good, and the use of the highway or the high definition maps is also very helpful, because sometimes the high definition maps are old, stale, and the data they convey do not represent the actual situation in current time that you'll be riding. And so what happens then is that the car is now defaulting to make decisions based on the high definition map. So what do I mean with that? If this was a construction area 2 years ago and there was lane markings that indicated that you should basically diverge, or this track converges to the middle track, that marking might still be on. Okay, but the road has already changed because the construction perhaps is over, but the guys forgot to remove that, within the high definition map, or the high definition map has not been updated to show that the construction work that was done 2 years ago is actually done and over. Right? So the car is going to execute policy based on historical data, and that can sometimes lead to all those stupid. It doesn't overtake or changes lanes when it doesn't have to, and you'll be wondering what exactly is it doing. Okay, so yeah, so some of those little things do still remain, and it's all because of the fact that when you're using when you're using a lot of data points for decisions, one data point that is corrupt, one data point that is stale, can lead to a bad experience. And like the case that I spoke about, thinking that overtaking or changing lanes without need to change is one of that example. So you're not just doing sensor data fusion, you're also doing fusion of additional data context from external sources, because the map, the high definition map as I indicated, is not owned and done by Xpeng or the car manufacturer. It's something that is integrated, and there are, I think, a couple of providers, of two today. Baidu, Baidu, Tencent, are some of the leading providers of high definition maps, because they've pretty much done a very good job in doing real scanning of positioning, even within traffic, as part of the mapping services they offer. And I believe that they saw into the future. They developed a roadmap that included the ability to offer this service to motorists or to road users. So what I mean by that is, if I switch this if I switch this into a 3D mode, you actually see a 3D view that shows exactly where the car is now by way of the map data. Right? So as a result of that, you get that elusive illusion of three-dimensional, which is really cool. Quite frankly, I think it's one of the cool advancements with the mapping systems that exist today. And I hope that later on, that kind of capability can also provide additional data, for instance, actual real traffic utilization. It does have the traffic overlay or the traffic utilization overlay, but something where you can actually be able to identify or see actual representation of cars as objects on the road would be, I guess, where they're hoping to get to. Because what will happen is that every car essentially would has a GPS, has a positioning system, right? And every car is recording as a concept. Also can pretty much leverage the or the mobile network to provide positioning data. And this data is already what every mapping company is utilizing to identify what is the traffic situation for each road, right? For every road that you're on. So what if you decided to increase the resolution of the data to a specific car or motorist as an object on the road, right? Then you could represent an actual population, which could visually be much more even exciting, and could be a way actually to also provide additional services, right? So that's where it's going. So what these guys have done is they try to bring that extended data of the actual road into their which sets them aside, or it actually puts them way ahead of the competition. Driving on this route, right? Because I know that there's this lane here that could mean that someone is coming. Could be pretty much anything that I would. Could be on the outer lane, which is the one, not this one. But again, part of the policy decisions that have been quoted as part of the capability is that it should try to, as quickly as possible, be on the lane that it needs to be, either exit or to make sense. Yeah, I think I'll do it. I'll do it. Slightly different logic, but yeah, this is the current approach taken. Now it wants to change things. But it's too late because this truck is just beside me. literally can do that anytime. One of the embedded policies also, and this could be either embedded by way of identifying a logic, or it could be embedded by tagging, right? So you've got a human that is reviewing the code works and tagging words. You know, the car needs to prompt you for your attention, right? To ensure that you are attentive watching the car. So you were hearing those little things, and each of those things I have to steering or so steering the little tag to let it know that, to let this thing by the because that location is that's very busy intersection. And so, it's been identified as a high risk area. And as a high risk area, show that this is additional data you get from the high risk authority to give you pretty much an update as to high risk areas. You could actually get this as real-time information so that the cars be anywhere. The time cycle of the day continue to change. I would expect that perhaps like maybe driving age at night, this road would pretty much make and so with good there shouldn't be so much prompting of people, but maybe morning, rush hour traffic. It can be quite tricky, so as a result you should prompt more. So you could get additional data sources that you could overlay and use that to provide for policy execution. Currently, I know that sort of prompting capability is sort of baked into the version of every release. So it's not one that is changing over the time of the day. So over there, it's prompting to get your attention, and every time you drive through that road, no matter what the circumstances are, whether it's an empty road, it's a holiday, it's a holiday, nobody's using it or not, it's still going to prompt you to get your attention. So I hope that in the future, again, some of the whole idea of data being the decision or the decision anchor should mean that you need more data, certainly, right? And that's the problem with data. The more intelligence you want in your system, the more data points you need. It doesn't necessarily mean that it translates to it's not exactly correlative, because I've seen people with a lot of data making stupid decisions, and even now with regards to this car is basically generating a lot of data, but not all the data points are effectively being used to really do some smooth driving, self-driving. So, but certainly, you know, what it means that if you're a good engineer, you certainly see here that there are capabilities you could enhance or you could offer that would be niche, that would be unique, simply by leveraging, you know, data, the right data and all that. And you might not, in this case, you might not need to even get the external data source to complement your operations. You might even defer to your own local data, right? You're perceiving the road. You've got sensors that perceive the road. So I could make a deduction that this is an orderly road, or this is an orderly flow of traffic, right? And as with an orderly flow of traffic, you technically can have a good level of prediction, or a good sense of prediction within a time window that comfortably allows you to execute policy decisions that that increase the experience, that deliver a unique experience. So I don't need to bother the driver too many times. I don't need to unnecessarily be sounding an alarm too many times. Just, you know, just the data I'm getting now is ample many enough to still deliver or make intelligent decisions. To a point that I indicated before, I've seen, you know, folks that can get a whole volume of data and cannot actually make good decisions out of it. So as a result, it doesn't make sense to just say that, you know, more data can be more intelligence, of course, can be, you know, based on having ample data or using data effectively, but it's not the other way around. So anyway, that was just a bit of a rant on the sidelines to comment about being able to effectively do stuff that are intelligent without the need to have, which is what a lot of people, you know, sort of try to use as a basis for equating the level of intelligence. I think maybe that's not exactly a good way to infer intelligence, especially from a self-driving car. I believe strongly, and I believe in the school of engineering that says that, you know, if the car's got cameras, 360-degree cameras around it can perceive and interpret the world correctly, which means that you actually have a good labeling, right? And that would have helped you be able to this basically a machine learning pipeline was really good to identify and label everything correctly, and then use that to improve, you know, basically get a great sense of the physical world. So you get a good physical representation of the world, which means that at least everything in the world that you and I know, that when we see, we can identify, we've labeled it correctly, and it's within the, you know, it's within the capability of the system. That should basically be more than enough, right? Because you having a good level of detail being captured by the camera, and that good level of detail should enable you to be able to everything, or for everything that is labeled for you to be able to identify, and at least be able to segment, right? If you're able to segment it, then you can use that to essentially as an input line. But this is not exactly, you know, this is not exactly the case, especially with Charbon. I believe Tesla's quality, Tesla's quality of labeling might be better, even though we still have scenarios where, you know, identification is faulty in the Tesla world. If you look at previous versions of FSD, if you held a stop sign, or if you had a stop, wear stop t-shirt, and you stood by the wayside, the car might stop. But again, it's not one against the other. The point here is that we need to get to a point where the physical understanding of the web based on level data is so high quality that we can effectively be able to identify anything. So far as it's in this man-made world, we can effectively be able to identify. The problem with that is that also means that you need a lot more processing power, because now you need to be processing in parallel a lot more data to make decisions. That's tricky. So there needs to be some sort of compromise, a good level compromise that allows you to effectively automate a certain set of tasks. I don't expect a tree to be walking, so I'm not going to label a tree walking as a walking tree, right? So it doesn't make sense to do that, and that's also not going to be in real life. I don't expect a tree to be in the highway, but that might be only because of the fact that I'm in China. For maybe if I'm in Australia, I can see a tree there. Or if I'm in Africa, maybe I can see a tree there, right? So there are a lot of stuff you need to now factor into your algorithm in order to address the computational overhead that sometimes ends up with not having that level of tactile feedback to support your robotic systems. What do I mean by robotic systems? So a lot of the stuff within the car is all moving pieces that respond to commands, a control center. So the steering is one part, a robotic system on its own, right? And the steering needs to work also with the suspension. Each of the suspensions have their own control units that allows them to behave within or to operate within the limit of their engineering, with some little or no need to require the central processing unit to control them. So all these little things and robotic systems on the other, and then you effectively now put them together to sort of create a bigger robot. The bigger robot is essentially a single unit, which now is able to now orchestrate. So there's the orchestration of all the other robots together to give you that experience of having that self-driving experience. So yeah, from an engineering standpoint, that's like normal, but to an average user, they don't see that. They only see that it's a whole car doing that, which is normal. And the user doesn't need the average user doesn't need that level of detail. But from the school of engineering, it's clear that you're orchestrating stuff together, and so the amount of data that is being processed is unbelievably big. And as a result, it is easier to say that kind of self-driving is not really good. It's easier to say that, but in actual sense, it takes a lot of engineering that goes behind the scene to actually be able to deliver that seamless experience that one would want. Okay, and so to every car company out there that is integrating, different sensors, increasing sensor coverage in order to deliver better driving experience or improve their self-driving capability, indeed the architecture stack that supports the self-driving, kudos to them, right? Kudos to them. It's not an easy route. So I guess it's we respect those companies nevertheless, what basically ticks me off is sometimes there's too much over marketing, which is detrimental to both the confidence folks need to get with regards to the capability at a point in time. And that over marketing is what gets me a bit worried. Tesla's done over marketing with FSD. Xpeng is doing over marketing with FSD. Few car companies maybe might not be doing that. Few car companies I think are reputable enough not to want to stick their heads out to say that we're delivering full self. But I mean, you'd understand. Xpeng is trying to state that it's the car company that is delivering intelligent machines or intelligent drive or intelligent cars. So we need something to anchor itself on. But the problem is that when you, for instance, you go to want to buy a car, and the sales guy is pitching the car to you as an intelligent car. The way they pitch it to the average user is so much that the user then feels that, oh my gosh, this car can do everything. And as a result, as an average user, they forget all the precautions, all the fact about engineering that's been and how that engineering can fail, that engineering is not foolproof with regards to the environment. It might be foolproof from an engineering issues, and that can be tricky, right? So people buy this car and they're crushing it once they engage in self-driving capability, doing stuff on the road, and someone hits them, they scratch, they pass in, and so there's a whole bag of issues out there. The key point is, overselling for me is it's not exactly very, especially when you go capability has reached that. I think selling is detrimental to and also ends up killing companies. So whilst I have companies doing this stuff, not a fan those that essentially do overbranding, getting the technologies capability at this point in time. Wants to overtake, data is here real time, so as a result then it's slower, and so this is the other, oops, that's a stone, I need to disengage, okay, yeah, that was an object on the road there, and you saw the Tesla binocular. We are not able to have that level of detection where you can see an object and be able to I think the latest FSD can do that to a certain size of an object, right? But not this one yet. So again, this is what I was speaking about earlier on. If we've leveled stuff, you can identify that this should be on the road, this should not be on the road. This is an object that could potentially have a heavy impact on the car if you run right, and then you could simply execute policy to second habitats stuff. That's not yet. Okay, this is a one. Snap that right there. And now once wants to take that track because it needs to be taking that turn, exiting this particular road, but is not able to. Then I'm not very much in a rush, so I just want you guys to experience my experience. Now, would you let the car run on when it's high, when it's rush hour or when you're in a hurry? No, there's no way you're gonna do that. So that's kind of thing that you should be mindful of when you're using this stuff and see how to drive. The annoying stuff about this is that other road users technically speaking, an intelligent human being perhaps disengage and then take over. And I just wanted to let folks experience what previously has been capable. Yes, but the capability is being run, or the capability is being used in the context of other capabilities, which includes good drivers, bad drivers, and all that on the road. So as a result, you need to be very attentive in order to know when the comfort level is too low. You back out of the technology, take over, and when you think things are pretty much stable to a sense of giving you confidence to activate it, you then activate it back, and you can use it. So this is really what it comes down to. For the technology, those that I always would encourage buying it are people that do a lot of highway drive. If you're doing a lot of highway drive every day, and I do that, right? I need to use I do 30 km or 35 km highway drive every day between home and work. And highway drive in the sense that from toll to toll, we've got a pretty organized highway, and this is another beautiful thing about about China. The level of strictness and level of quality of highway in China is perhaps unrivaled. So when I allow the car to fully execute its L3 capability on a highway that is 35, 38 km, my level of comfort and confidence is almost 50-50, right? I know where the common cases are with regards to its capability. So in those cases, my attention is heightened. In those cases that I know confidently that it will be able to do that, my confidence is high, and my comfort for it to actually execute that without me intervening is also high. And as a result of that, I can comfortably use this stuff every day. So we're talking about doing approximately 70 to maybe 76 every day on highway. So having this technology available to me becomes useful. If I were living within the city and my drive was even 35 km within the city, having to use this technology every day, it perhaps will become frustrated. I might get to work every day with so much pressure on me, or with so much tension, having been babysitting this stuff every day. But that's not my case, right? So if you're living within the city, you're more than in the right sense of investment in this technology within the the current space of production to go for level 2. and you're more than okay with that, because again, it's not like the capability can be drastic for every production. Not every car manufacturer out there is going to give you a car with software that can be upgraded, almost forever, right? They have to sell more cars, and they use this technology as a bait, so they will limit the car's capability, for upgrade or for use of new software to certain versions, right? So maybe in 5 years time, this car's the software update that might be coming to this car might not be comparable to a newer version. Hardware wise, it might be the same hardware. They might throw more hardware at it, but in reality, what is being actually used effectively in the car might be less, might be equal to this. But for them, this is the way they sell more cars. It's like, iPhone. And in some cases, I've heard that what really happens with Apple's strategy is to throttle down the performance of older versions with new updates, so that it forces the consumer to want to buy a new iPhone. And that these are the evils within the within the industry today. These tricks that are being done again to create an industry to drive the economy based on certain tricks that manufacturers can play, and there isn't any regulator that provides a good sort of governance for these things, right? So there is a level of balance, and that level of balance is important to think about when you are making any investment into these things. So why do I need to spend so much on the technology that claims to be bleeding edge, but not yet for the road in the real sense of using it on the road for every circumstance that you effectively encounter, versus buying what can the demands of the road or my needs now, and then save the rest for maybe when the time is right and the capability has matured, the road use support, including legislation, including infrastructure, including other uses, that's equally advanced, for you to then comfortably be able to say that I'm buying stuff that is now good enough. The framework that enables the operations of that stuff is also good enough. So I'm in a much more comfortable area where my risk is balanced by my reward. So we're almost coming to the end of our journey. This traffic indicates a 16-minute wait, or a 16-minute slow traffic. I should have used a different route. Actually could have used this route, but I didn't look at the traffic on the map to get a sense of my surrounding. I thought again Sunday this road would be quick, that was quick. Okay, so it was changing lanes. The other car, human driver, also getting into that particular lane. So it had to sort of make a prediction as to how to time its change to coincide to when that guy had finished making the change and the road was cleared up. Or it had to sort of cancel that change lane and wait till it was clear. But luckily, the guy in changing lane was pretty fast and smart about it. So that paved the way for it to successfully be able to conduct that lane change. Need to change the lane again to the of the lane. Let's see how it does that, because that's also a very busy lane and it's almost back to back, and it needs to sense when there is enough space be able to change the lane without obstructing the other car abruptly, and I suspect that's going to be the case, or perhaps when someone is moving slow enough, it can slip in. So, okay, thankfully said, so to disengage there, because the other car was not going to let it go. And it's not the fault of that car, because that car is on the right track. Right? That car was on the right track. It should pretty much had, be able to successfully do that early on, but it didn't get that success. So as a result, we had to disengage to avoid any unforeseen circumstances there. Okay, so here is the traffic. Why there is traffic, I'm not sure. Okay, so we've activated it back. And now we are projected to spend about 10 minutes navigating this section of the road. So that's the reason. There is a park over here. It's called the Song Yan Yu Scenic Area, and it seems it's got lots of people coming in today. So as a result, we get to have a bit of traffic, because some of the users of the taxis or indeed drive-hailing cars that are maybe alighting or picking people, and those folks tend to want to take homes on, right? And then there are others that are trying to be the smartest, so using the inner lanes to sort of get into the pack and sort of beat the other lane that is really slow. So I guess that must be the reason for the slow traffic. I also see that there is a maybe traffic police there, so with the traffic police, and we just saw one that was driving through, maybe with that they could help to address that issue, or maybe make it even worse. We've seen situations like that so many times where you put a traffic police, especially those that control the traffic light, at a section with the traffic light, they may actually create more confusion. Okay, so now here I need to urge it on. If not, those guys on that side are going to sort of press in. So I'm pretty much accelerating, or tapping the accelerator for it to move forward, and so that at least we can move. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck there. Okay. Oh, and then also we've got people coming out of the pack that are in. So maybe that's actually the problem. People are entering from the highway from the park and need to go to the outer lane, because they might want to do a U-turn over there. So I guess that's where the problem is also. Oh, it's a compound problem. I never pick a solution. It's always one of them. All this while I'm pretty much, tapping the accelerator, or my leg is on the accelerator, softly trying to urge it to move. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck there, and we would not get anywhere. So that's what it is. It's basically an augmented driving system, not a self-driving system. At this particular point in time, in this particular scenario, I'm augmenting it. It augments me when I need that level of support, and then I need to also support it when I know clearly that its capability is limited to current technology. So it's a sort of a handshake, right? Human driver collaboration. Human driver collaboration is a good way to actually market this stuff. I think it would have been the brilliant way to market it. It's called human driver collaboration. So here it gets tricky because the lane is gradually getting narrower and narrower, with people actually taking up the road. So I need to disengage there. That guy was pretty much taking up the line that it needs to be visible in order for it to determine its position clearly. And maybe it could have navigated around it, but it would think for a while. And that thinking can sometimes take time, with the guy behind me exactly excited, hooting at me, because again, I'm using the technology as though the road was all robots, but it's not. So I need to disengage and take over here. While there is ACC is still active. That's why you see the car trying to automatically brake or decelerate, and then I'm still keeping my leg on the accelerator so that it knows that, okay, no, you can go, it's alright, you can do it. We've got the track pretty clear now. I can engage it, and let's see, hopefully it doesn't try to change lane. Map shows that we are in the yellow zone now, which means that things are moving a bit faster. The traffic scenario is improving, and hopefully soon we'll be in a complete green, which means the traffic flow should be coming to normal. What does that mean? That means that we can go a full 60 on the road.